Ahoy there, and welcome to Friday, Q&A Friday to be exact. Hope you're doing well. Hope your Friday is off to a good start. Mine's going pretty well, although I I cut my head shaving this morning. If you can see that. Cut my head shaving. Feel like Marcellus Wallace up in this piece. But anyway, hope you're having a good Friday. My name is Mike Hathcote. I'm a full-time voice actor. And what we do on Friday is just answer your questions. And so drop those questions in the chat. Also in the chat, make sure you chime in so I can do some shout outs in a minute. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you get all the content on this channel as quickly as possible. Couple things to get out of the way before we get into questions. First, if you're in the VoiceOver Blueprint, the fake audition has been up all week. So today is the last day to submit your submission for that. So what we do in the Blueprint is once a month we have a fake audition, and I put a script up and people submit their reads, and whoever gets picked as the best one gets a free audio and video demo for that spot that they can then use for their marketing. So 6 p.m. Pacific time today is the cutoff date or cutoff time for that. So if you haven't submitted, go ahead and do that. Also, don't forget the masterclass replay sale is still going on, and that's the social media pipeline, where I talk about all the social media platforms that you should be using for your business in VoiceOver, as well as the how to build your website with the GoDaddy Site Builder and how to use Cloze, C-L-O-Z-E, as the CRM. So bonus videos in there for that. The link is in the description below, and use the code SOCIAL102 and you get the whole ball of wax for $97. Plus, I'm doing a live Q&A on the 17th, September 17th, hour-and-a-half Q&A on social media for everyone who actually picks up that course. So check it out in the description. And one last thing, I mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again. We are trying a different strategy on the YouTube channel that we're going to try to, we've actually hired a YouTube strategist to kind of help us grow the channel even bigger than it already is. It's already the biggest voiceover channel on YouTube, but we're trying to grow it a little bit bigger. And part of that strategy is me doing more long form content, some longer videos that go a little deeper into some of the topics that we want to cover. And, with a little bit better production value and just nicer quality videos, because YouTube tends to like those better than the live videos. So we're going to start doing a lot more of those. And another thing that we're going to be doing is we are going to be pausing the morning huddles, at least for now. So fear not, though. The same kind of content, in fact, better content, is going to be uploaded several times a week. So you'll still get the same topics, the same stuff that I would be talking about in a live huddle, but just in a little bit greater detail. So make sure that you are subscribed and you get notified when those things drop, and it'll be about as, pretty much like you're here live every morning. So just wanted to let everybody know about that. And of course, you can always go back and watch all the live huddles from previous, days and weeks and months and years. But I do want to sincerely thank you, all of you who are so loyal, who are here every single morning, both for myself and back when Bill was here, because, you guys really, really make this happen. So I sincerely want to thank each and every one of you who both come in on the live feed as well as show up and watch later. So remember, though, those videos will still be here, and so will the new ones. Just make sure you're subscribed, and you'll get those notifications when those new videos drop, and you'll be able to learn, I think, a lot more, because I'm going to be using a lot more bells and whistles in these videos, things like graphics and stuff like that, screen sharing and all that kind of stuff that you really can't do in a live situation. So that's that. All right. So let's get into some questions then. There's Sean Hunt from Longview. Good to see you this morning. And there's Jason from Kearney, Nebraska. And John from Denver. Good to see you this morning. And there's Charlie from chilly Sparta, Wisconsin. And Sally from Plano, Texas. Jason says, what is one of the greatest obstacles or problems that you have faced and overcome as a voice actor, and how did you overcome it? Oh, that's a great question, Jason. Okay. There's been several, but let me think here. I would say the biggest hurdle for me has been imposter syndrome. And I know a lot of people suffer from that because when you first get into anything new, and we've talked about this multiple times here, but when you first get into anything new, there's definitely a learning curve. And even after you've kind of been up and running for a while, it can feel like, you're less than, and you're not ready for prime time or whatever. And of course, at the beginning, you probably aren't ready for prime time. But if you go through the proper steps and stages of learning and, getting demos and training and practice and all those kinds of things, you've laid the groundwork. You just have to keep, going out there and getting it. So what has helped me overcome that is my wife. Some of you know that my wife is a psychologist, and one of her specialties is working with people who have imposter syndrome. And so she has helped me kind of break out of that. In fact, she did a whole webinar for us called Mindset, on mindset in the voice acting industry, and talks about all that kind of stuff, how to, limiting self-beliefs and self-talk and stuff like that. So she has been the reason that I'm still doing this after all these years, because so many times I would get in my head and feel like that I wasn't ready, or I wasn't enough, or I was less than anybody else out there, playing the comparison game, listening to other people, other voice actors out there, and be like, oh, I'll never be that good, or, try not to do that. I know that's easier said than done, but, like I said, if you've gotten the right training and, worked with the right people, you will get there. I don't care if it's next week, next month, next year. You just have to keep moving forward. And I've said that so many times on here, but it's true. But great question. Thank you. There's Andrew. Good morning from Latvia. And Chris says, ouch. I guess you meant from my head thing. Yeah. I should be able to take that Band-Aid off later today. I just needed to stop the bleeding. There's Kate in Marietta, Georgia. Pratham says, hi, what are the top 2 things you would recommend not do during direct email marketing? Oh, that's a great question too. First one is attach your demo to an email, especially a cold email. If you are doing your email marketing, never attach anything to a cold email, because it's a good way to go right to the spam folder or right to trash, because people are kind of sketchy about attachments from people they don't know. So always put a link in the description, a link in the body of the email to take them to your website, which is once again why it's so important to have a very good, easy to navigate website for your demos. So that would be the first thing. The second thing I would say is, okay, another one would be just droning on and on in an email. Keep your emails short and sweet. Just the facts, ma'am. So we're talking, who you are, what you can do for them, a link to your website, and that's it. You don't need to write War and Peace in your email. Just keep it short and sweet, because people have short attention spans. Get to the point and bounce. So that would be the 2 things. Don't attach a demo to your email, and keep it short and sweet. There's Kurt from Greenville, South Carolina. And Andrew said, just got a haircut. You mean you or me? Because I sure did today. I got a real haircut. Gretchen says hello from Adrian, Michigan. Oh, it jumped on me. Whoa. There's Edward from Jacksonville, Florida, and there's Joseph from Horizon City, Texas. Theo says, happy Friday from the kitchen table in Palos Hills, Illinois. There's Grady from Ithaca. Take care of that scalp. I feel your pain periodically, yeah. You'd think after 30 years of shaving, I mean, I haven't been shaving my head for that long, but I've been shaving my head now for, about 15 years. But you'd think with that much practice, I'd be good at it. I'm pretty good at it. I shave in the shower, so it's, a little quicker and easier, but still, every now and then. Pratham says, any advice for making an email signature for voice actor? Yeah. Well, there's a couple of ways you can do it. I guess you could go to Canva. Canva has a really good way to create email signatures for free, and the free version does anyway. So Canva's a great one. I just take a snapshot of my logo and just put it in my email signature. So that's easy peasy. But I would say go to Canva and check it out. You can also go the HTML route, which is, actually doing it with code. Maybe that's something that, GPT could help you with. So there's lots of different ways. So there you go. Oh, let's see. Police Commander Z3 from Atlanta. Good to see you. Mary says, this is my first question. My second question. Oh, her first question is, how you doing? I'm doing well. How you doing? My second question is, what is your average amount of auditions you send in a week on each of your P2P sites? Well, I'm only on one P2P site, Mary, and it's voices.com. And I pretty much, I'd say, I probably do, trying to think here. I'd say I probably do, let's just say 5 a day for them. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. I'd say 5 a day. So that would be 25 a week just for the pay-to-play sites. Now, that doesn't count all the other places that I get auditions from. Those are just pay-to-plays. So I get auditions from agents and rosters and, direct clients, So I'd say I probably do in the neighborhood of 20 auditions a day, off and on. And really, that's the amount you want to do, kind of bare minimum if you want to continue to grow this thing. So as many of those as you possibly can do. Donovan says, hi from South Africa. Have an awesome weekend, everyone. Yes, and you too. Kate says, do you know of anyone who could critique an existing demo? I have a DIT from several years ago, as well as a professional one. I've always wondered if my DIY demo might be better. Feel free to send them both to me, Kate. I'll listen to them. I do that quite a bit. So shoot me an email, mike@mikehathcote.com, and I'll listen to both of them and tell you which one I like better. Joseph says, I have a Rode NT1 Gen 5 with USB-C, and I also have a Scarlett Solo. I've used both connections and can't tell a difference in my recordings. Is it really necessary to use an interface with this mic? That's a good question. I've never had a Rode mic. I know they're good quality mics. That might be a better question for an engineer. But to be honest, if you can't tell the difference, then most people can't, to be honest with you, unless they're super, they're audiophiles that, that really know how to analyze, stuff. But you could send it over to Alex at builderwees.com. Shoot him an email and say, hey, here's 2 different files, one using the interface and one using the direct connection. See which one he can tell. And but like I said, if you can't tell the difference, I'd say most people can't, as long as you've dialed in the rest of your sound. Donovan says, how's the elbow doing, Mike? I remember you said you might have to go in for surgery sometime. Yeah, I'm kind of trying to push it off. I did have PRP done on it, which is platelet-rich plasma, where they, extract your blood and spin it out and then inject the plasma back into your affected area so that it'll actually promote healing. And it's kind of like stem cells, basically. And that maybe has helped maybe 5 to 10%. It's still there, but I'm still trying to Just kind of trying to push it along, give it as much as much room as I can before I actually do surgery. Hey, David from Hamilton, Ontario. Good to see you. And there's Matt from Central Connecticut. Joshua says, I'm thinking about adding a DIY demo to my website. In ways I and others, audio background people, not friends and family, believe it seems to be professional enough. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and just say don't do it. If audio background people, there's one thing, if it sounds okay, sonically okay, that's only one piece of the puzzle. So if you're using people who have an audio background, the background and the production of your demo might be great, but is the performance, is the mix, meaning the different styles that are in the demo, is the order correct? Those are all things that a professional demo will have for you, in addition to having good sound quality. I mean, I've never heard your demo. You can send it to me if you like. I'd love to listen to it. But, I would hesitate doing that. I mean, hey, miracles happen, but I have yet to hear a DIY demo, at least a commercial DIY demo, that sounded like a professionally produced demo. And I've heard hundreds. So, having not heard your demo, that's my advice, but I'm happy to take a listen. Donovan also says, my wife is also a psychologist, and no way in hell would I still be doing if it wasn't for her. Shout out to Amazing Wives. Yep, absolutely. She is just, yeah. Sorry, I'm going to get emotional. Geekalicious says, can you give suggestions on finding scripts and copy for recording your demos if we're just starting out? Yes, and you're on it. It's called YouTube. Just look up commercials. And there's a transcribe feature right down in the description. All you got to do is hit the transcribe feature, toggle off the timestamps, copy, paste. And then usually you have to format it because it's just kind of a stream of consciousness usually. So you have to kind of format the lines. But those are great commercials, or those are great places because they're real commercials. Those are scripts that have actually passed, QA and have been out there in the wild. So they're not these random practice scripts that you'll find on places like voices.com and stuff like that. These are real commercials. So just do that. That's what I advise people to do when you're just kind of starting out. Even if you're doing a DIY demo, use those scripts to practice. Just make sure you get a broad range of styles. Also, another little tip is find commercials for products and services that you actually use. If you drive a Honda, look for some Honda commercials and whatnot. So that way you have kind of a connection to the copy. You're speaking from experience when you're reading those scripts. So that's really the best place to go. Oh, and another place, iSpot.tv. So YouTube and iSpot.tv. That's all commercials. In fact, that's all it is. I mean, there's no other, there's no other videos on there but commercials. So either one of those two. Sarah says, checking in late today. Hey there from Kentucky. Well, hey there, Sarah. Good to see you. Pratham says, how many emails were you sending every week when you first got started email marketing? And did you find majority of your leads? Yes, I did. Okay. So when I first started, because I wasn't doing much recording, I was just marketing, I just gotten my demo, my website, and I was actually starting to go out and get, introduce myself. I would shoot for 50 a day. Sometimes I would get there, sometimes I wouldn't, but I was shooting for 50 a day. Basically, I was shooting for as many as I could a day. Sometimes I would go over 50, sometimes under, but 50 a day was kind of that's my benchmark. That's where I wanted to go for. And so that's what I would do. And after a while, you start to get in kind of a rhythm or a flow. And so you can get through them pretty quickly. So yeah, 50 a day. And that's where I built my business. I mean, I was at the very beginning, I was on some pay-to-plays and I was doing okay on those. But the majority of the work that I was able to get and build my business over the years has been through direct marketing, not having to rely on some platform or, whatever to kind of work within the confines of. I was just working directly with people. Jim says 20 auditions of what length? Well, varying lengths. I mean, most auditions are going to be, 30 seconds, give or take. Every now and then somebody wants you to read the entire script and it's a little longer than that, but usually 30 seconds is plenty. I mean, sometimes, in fact, most times I will get an audition that'll be a longer script. I got several of those yesterday where, really, if they can't decide within 30 seconds whether or not they want to use you or not, you don't need to worry about much more than that unless they ask you to. Remember, we talked about how you need to follow the steps or follow the directions verbatim in those briefs. If they ask you to do the whole script, do the whole script. But most times it's 20, 30 seconds worth. And I turn those around, by the way. Any audition, most auditions you should be able to do in 5 minutes or less. So don't scrutinize every little detail of every audition. Just, and remember, send it and forget it. We talked about that recently too. Once you've done it and sent it off, forget about it. But 5 minutes, maybe 6 if it's a longer script. But 5 minutes is all it should take for you to do an audition. And that means opening the email, reading the directions, recording, editing, processing, sending. 5 minutes, if you can. Let's see here. Oh, Andrew says, how long usually an audition lasts? Well, there you go, 5 minutes. Jess says, afternoon from Tennessee. Any pieces of advice for someone in the trades, HVAC, trying to start a career in VO? Yes. Just do it in the pockets of your day. Now, I know that if you're in HVAC and you're out in the field and you're doing work for people, it's kind of hard to, reply to emails and do marketing and stuff like that. Of course, on your phone, you can reply to emails. And if you're on platforms like, Upwork or Fiverr and stuff like that, you can reply to people, throughout your day. You obviously can't do any recording. So just do it when you get home, or do it in the morning before you leave, or on the weekend. Any of the pockets of your day when you're not actually out working, doing your day job. And just doing a little bit at a time, Now, one thing I can also suggest, and this is also kind of a little bit of a selfish plug, but the VoiceOver Blueprint, my training program, we have live webinars every day of the week that you can not only attend live if you can, if you're driving from one job to the next, you can listen in or whatever, or you can watch the replays of every single day. But we also have that on-demand training content that, once again, when you're driving to the next thing, you can listen to. That way you're always kind of learning even when you're in between jobs. So maybe look into that. But yeah, just try to do whatever you can, whenever you can, and just work up from there. And hopefully you'll get to the point where, you've built it up enough that you can actually pull the plug on your HVAC job and just do this full time. Live the dream. Pratham says, what are some ways one could find direct contacts to producers apart from LinkedIn? Where did you have success in, the most? In contacting leads, where you found their contact directly or from company web? Google. It's all about Google. You just Google production houses, video production places, or you can get even more specific and look for places like e-learning or, commercial production or whatever, and go to the address or go to the website, check it out, find a contact information. If you can't find it on the website, then use a platform like Apollo or something like that, or LinkedIn to do some research. Try to find a name of a person and an email, shoot it out. Rinse and repeat. Jim says, what is the address of iSpot? It's iSpot.com. ispot.tv. So www.ispot.tv. Geekalicious says, do you have guidelines for selecting microphones for a new voice actor, VO actor? Yeah, don't go to the moon the first time. I mean, don't worry about $1,000 microphone, like a Neumann or a Sennheiser or, some of the higher end microphones. There are plenty of good mid-range microphones that are not going to break the bank. The Rode NT1, whoever mentioned that one earlier, that's a good solid entry to mid-level mic. Another good one is one that I started with, and that was the Audio-Technica AT2035. Still have that one. In fact, my wife uses it down in her office for her podcasts and stuff. So she uses that. She doesn't need it to be as, sound quality wise, she doesn't need it to be like this. So I gave that one to her. But what are some others? There's a Rode, Audio-Technica. There are some lower priced mics like the Apogee mic and those kind of mics. Those are USB mics, which means you can just plug directly into your computer. No interface needed. Those are okay for just straight up beginners. But I always say if you're going to plan on doing this for a while, you might as well just, for a few extra dollars, go ahead and get into one of the more solid, tried and true microphones like the Audio-Technicas and the Rhodes and stuff like that. Even Focusrite, who makes really good interfaces, they also have a microphone. And they actually have a bundle that comes with the microphone, headphones, and the interface all in one bundle. So, and I think it even comes with a pop filter. So you can actually just look on Amazon for those. Okay, Everett says, good morning from Oregon. I've set up my booth. Do you have a recommendation for a sound engineer to check it? Yes, I do. His name is Alex DeWeese, who is Bill DeWeese's son, who is the founder of this channel. He is a professional audio engineer. And so if you want to send him an email, alex@billdeweese.com. And that's BILLDEWEES.com. And he will take a listen and dial in your sound for you, because anytime you build a booth or even change anything in your booth, you need to make sure that you do have we call it a stack or an effects rack that processes the audio to make it sound as best as it can from your spot. So alex@billdeweese.com. Robert says, hey, Mike, how do you keep your voice tonality to stay consistent throughout the day? Well, that's hard. I'm not sure many people can do that. I mean, anybody. Well, I guess you could do that. Over time, you start to get a tolerance. You start to build up your stamina in your vocal folds. But there are definitely days when I have really busy days. Let's say I'm doing a big e-learning or something like that, which is just hours and hours of work. That by the end of the day, I'm feeling it. My vocal cords and they're strained. I'm fatigued, even muscle fatigue around my neck and stuff just from talking all day. So there are days when at the end of the day, I just shut up for the rest of the day after I'm done in here. My family knows not to expect me to talk because I've got to save it up for the next day. Just practice, just practice. The more you do it, the more tolerance you're gonna have. Donovan says, how do you feel about accents? I'm trained as a film and stage actor and have a lot of experience with accents, but when they ask for a conversational voice in a certain accent, I do it. Okay. I did a whole topic on this months ago on accents. And here's my personal opinion. If you can do accents, that's great. But voiceover is a worldwide industry. If somebody needs a Boston accent, they're going to hire a native Bostonian. If they need a British accent, they're going to hire a Brit. If they need a Russian accent, they're going to hire someone from Russia, right? So, instead of worrying about, can I do this and can I do that accent, worry about, can I sound conversational, period. And whatever you're given, your mother tongue is, worry about that. Don't worry about being able to do accents. Once again, if they want a specific accent, they're going to find a native speaker and hire that person because they know that person is going to have the right accent. So don't, if you can do them, fine, but don't think that because you can do a bunch of accents or whatever, that's your ticket in, because there's plenty of others out there who can do it natively. Oh, let's see. Robert says, I find my voice starts off deep first thing in the morning, and then goes to a higher pitch as the day goes on. See, mine is the opposite. I find when I get up in the morning, well, I'll take that back. When I first get up in the morning, you get that morning voice, right? And that's partially why I've used this huddle as my warm-up, because I'm just talking to you guys, right? And so that helps me warm up. But yes, in the morning, I do kind of have that scratchy kind of morning voice, but then after the huddle, usually I'm good to go. I need to find a different way to do that going forward since we're no longer doing the huddles. But another thing that I do is I'll call my mom and talk to her, or I'll just talk to my wife or whatever, just to kind of loosen things up. But then throughout the day, it's good. And then by the end of the day, it seems to have gone down a bit. You get down in here like this, But once again, just repetition and practice. You'll build up your stamina. Donovan says, replying to Robert, says, me too. Pratham says, have you tried or used VO Marketing Pro? Builder, we spoke quite highly of him in his old YouTube videos. I did try them, and it wasn't a good fit for me. So I moved on. I ended up hiring an assistant to do my marketing for me, someone that I could train specifically to do what I wanted them to do. So no, I have used them, but for myself, wasn't a great fit, but I know other people have great results. Jim says, I recommend using a shotgun mic like you have there. Sounds great. Yep, this is a shotgun mic, and this is the Sennheiser 416, or it's the MKH, or MKH 416 is the mic model. Andrew said, someone mentioned Fifine. Yeah, Fifine microphones. That's another kind of low-end microphone. Probably cost you about $50, USB input. I'm not a fan of those. I know some other people have suggested that those are good microphones to start, but once again, for a little bit more money, you can actually get a microphone that's got a track record. Personally, every single time I've worked with anyone with a Fifine microphone, there have been issues, mostly in surge. You'll be talking or recording, and all of a sudden it'll surge and it'll get really loud, and then it'll come back down and surge again. I mean, it seems like that's kind of a common thread with that microphone. So, yeah, not a big fan of that microphone. But once again, if other people have had, success with it, more power to you. Not my fave. Geekalicious says, I'm considering the Rode NT1A. Yeah, that's a good, anything from Rode is going to be good. They've got a long track record. Another one is Shure microphones. So that would be another good quality microphone with a track record. Some of these little fly-by-night companies who do USB mics, they make them look cool, and look like the real deal. Just be wary and, read reviews and ask around. There's Joy from Southfield, Michigan. Good to see you. Oh, Sarah says, replying to Donovan, A dialect coach that was recommended to me is Tom Antonellis. Yes, he specializes in dialect coaching. I'm connected with him on Facebook. I know he does that, and I've heard quite a bit of good things about what he does. So yes, dialect coach. I used one. I didn't use Tom, but I used someone else who is no longer, she's retired, but because I had a Southern accent and still kind of do. And so being from Tennessee, I had to try to lose that so that I could be a little more marketable. If you go back and listen to some of my air checks from my radio days, it's like, ooh, it's cringy. But anyway, yeah, dialect coaches definitely work, especially if you're trying to lose like a regional dialect, Southern accent or Boston or New York or Midwest or whatever. Charlie says, so is today the last huddle? Yes, it is. Today is the last huddle for now. Like I said, right now we're going a different direction on YouTube. Stay tuned for all the new videos that are going to be coming out. We're just shifting gears off of the live huddles for now to focus more on that long form content with better production value. So keep an eye out for those. So make sure you're signed up. You're getting your notifications when a new video comes out, because it'll be the same kind of topics, but just better content. Donovan says, singing along with your favorite songs is a great way to warm up in the morning as well. Totally. I should probably do that more, to be honest with you, because I'm a big music guy, and it's just that usually when I come in here and sit down, it's go time, so don't really have a lot of time in the morning to listen to music. Jess says, I have the Roswell Mini K87 and Scarlett Solo Gen 4 kit. They seem to work really well together. Yes, I'm not sure about the Roswell, but I've heard good things about that company. I've never used any of their products, but I can definitely vouch for the Scarlett line of Focusrite interfaces. Got one right here. So yeah, those are good. Sarah says, whoa, I tuned in late. Sounds like I missed a big announcement. Yes, this is the last huddle for now. I just mentioned it a minute ago, but we're switching gears on YouTube. Just stay tuned. You'll still get videos. They just won't be live. Pratham says, thanks for answering all my questions. I'm out of questions for now. Cannot wait for the next Q&A Friday. Well, you might be waiting a little while because we're no longer going to be doing these. So if you got questions, that's why yesterday I was saying, bring all your questions because we're going to be pausing this for the time being. So, but no, my pleasure. That's what these Fridays are for. Fridays are for answering your questions, or have been anyway. So, yep. Okay. Wow, this excuse me, this one went long. 38 minutes in. Everett says, thank you, Mike. Well, thank you very much for being here. Sarah says, thanks for the huddles. Thank you, Sarah. And yes, thank everyone again for we have a really solid, probably 20 to 30 people who join every single day religiously, and you guys are awesome. Of course, anybody who joins after the fact or, watches the replays, appreciate you too. And yeah, that's it. So appreciate everybody. Marlene says, whatever you do and the blueprint does will be great. Well, thank you so much. We've worked very hard to make the blueprint what it is. And, we're always improving it. We're always trying to, add to it with content and good quality information. So, yeah. Edward says, thank you for the huddle. Inspiration, education, always. Looking forward to the new format. Yeah, thank you. I think you'll like it. I think, YouTube, I don't know what's wrong with my voice this morning. YouTube prefers content that is a little bit more high quality and high production. I mean, we try to make the huddles high quality, but yes, we're going to try to do some little bit better stuff that really, it's a little longer, 10-minute videos-ish, give or take. So we dive a little bit deeper, share examples, share images and things like that, versus me just trying to rattle off what I can off the top of my head. So there you go. Andrew says, thanks for all the information. And Kirk says, indeed, thank you for your knowledge, patience, and for having the heart of a teacher. Well, thank you. That's very nice to say. And Donovan says, thanks, everyone. Have an amazing weekend and keep kicking ass, Mike. Well, thank you, Donovan. I will. I'll try my best. And I'm going to go ahead and say, for all of you, thank you once again, and I hope you all have a great weekend. And stay tuned because there's more stuff coming, and we'll talk to you soon. And for the last time, maybe, who knows for how long, break a lip.